wanted to talk about a very interesting situation where people go on a whole food plant based diet expecting to have significant weight loss. And maybe they do in the beginning, but then the weight loss either stalls or they maybe even have weight gain return, right? Or some kind of creeping up. I see patients from across the country. So I don't get on occasion I get worried well patients, but the majority of the time I get patients who are really struggling on a whole food plant-based diet or a plant-based diet. We'll just say it that way. But I really wanted to kind of speak to where people struggle and how to fix it because it absolutely can be fixed. It's just a matter of tweaking. So why even listen to me? Well, my name is Dr. Lori Marvis. I'm a board certified family and lifestyle medicine physician who is licensed in all 50 states and DC. I have seen a patient in every single state of this country, and I've been plant based myself for closing in on 13 years. So I feel like I'm in a really interesting place because I've seen thousands and thousands of patients over this 13 years who have consumed a whole food plant based diet, or I helped them, they came back to understanding why they were struggling. Well, let's dive in. And by the way, we'll also get to one of the reasons is hormones. I'll get to that in a second. There is a free webinar called Master Menopause and Feel Fabulous. I'll talk about it more in a minute, but definitely check out that link. And please subscribe if you're new to the community. We'll be so excited to have you here. All right, let's dive right in. So, like I had mentioned before, sometimes people go on a plant based diet to lose weight and feel amazing, improve their health, but the scale doesn't budge, or worse, it starts to creep upward. And really, you're like, what gives? Well, you're not alone, and it's definitely not your fault. A plant based diet is absolutely powerful, but weight loss isn't always automatic. The truth is, this could be falling into a few common traps that sabotage your progress. So, I'm going to show you exactly what's going on and how to fix it. Number one, you're eating too many calorie dense plant foods. It's easy to overdo on healthy plant based staples like avocados, nuts, and seeds, and sometimes people are still consuming oils. They're nutritious, but they really pack a serious what we call calorie punch, right? So 1 tablespoon of olive oil or any oil for that matter is 120 calories of pure liquid fat. It is very quickly absorbed and stored for a potential day of famine, which never comes in this industrial age. A handful of almonds, for example, can be anywhere between 200 or 300 calories. And then the healthy fats are sneaky, right? So you eat too much and your calorie deficit disappears faster than you can say guacamole, right? So the science around this is that calorie density is the number of calories per gram of food. Okay, so foods high in water like fruits, veggies, and legumes are low in calorie density, meaning you can eat more of those in volume with fewer calories. So calorie dense foods like nuts and oils, they're high in calories but low in volume, which makes them easy to overconsume. So the fix is focus on low calorie density foods like dark green leafy veggies, fruits, whole grains, and use high calorie foods like nuts and seeds on a much smaller scale. I do encourage people to consume nuts and seeds in the whole raw form, around a quarter cup, or if you're a woman, to half a cup if you're a male, because these contain a lot of important nutrients. And we shouldn't be fat phobic, but if anyone who's been watching my videos before knows that I love pecans. You give me a pound of pecans that have already been shelled, and yeah, they're going to be gone soon. I remember as a kid, pecans and other nuts would come in the actual shell. And when my children started growing up, they didn't even really truly realize that nuts actually had a shell until we are like, sharing, like, you can't even, it's hard to find nuts with still in the shell. And so it was really kind of funny to see that this kind of difficult packaging made it much harder for you to consume or overconsume nuts and seeds when you had to crack it. Because, man, I remember as a kid, we'd always get nuts for Christmas, and we'd have our little nutcracker that looked like little kind of sort of plier type things. And after 2 or 3, you're like, it's just not worth it. And you gave up. And you probably got about a handful of nuts and seeds. So that's kind of how I like to think about it, is like, how many of these things would you actually be willing to put in the effort to actually pull apart the nut, dig out the actual meat of it, and enjoy it. That's probably about all you should be consuming. And so, again, I don't want you to be fat phobic, but at the same time, I do encourage people to be oil free. There's nothing that you can't, well, I shouldn't say nothing. In a whole food plant based world, you can utilize other things to replace oil that may be in some ingredients, excuse me, in some recipes, and you'll get a calorie drop. So you don't have to worry about that. So, like, let's say someone is wanting to do a stir fry, I utilize veggie broth or water. And there's some other tricks too, that so many videos, people way more well versed and more qualified to help you understand how to cook these foods that are oil free than myself, including Brittany Derudy, who I run the Healing Kitchen with. We meet every single Wednesday live for an hour. She cooks and I answer medical questions, and we do workshops. We're building our community. We're about to go live with our community so people can interact 24/7 if they want. So again, if you want to learn more about that, that's at drmarbus.com. Click on the Healing Kitchen. You can learn more there. But anyway, those are the things. Number one is over consuming the calorie dense plant foods. Number two is hidden sugars and processed foods are sneaking in, right? So not all plant-based foods are good for weight loss. Packaged vegan meats, snacks, and desserts, they may sound healthy because they say plant-based on them, but they literally have hidden refined grains, they have hidden sugars, and unhealthy oils. Again, they might say that they're plant based, but they're still junk food. And they very quietly can add hundreds of empty calories to your day. Processed foods, the science behind this is that the processed foods with added sugars digest quickly, right? So those cause very rapid high blood spikes. And then this triggers that insulin surge, which shuttles excess energy into fat storage. So over time, repeated spikes contribute to insulin resistance, making weight loss even harder. And in addition to this, what's interesting, when you consume high saturated fats, this also drives insulin resistance. And when you'll see people who utilize CGMs, for example, and their insulin resistance, when they eat, let's say, a highly processed, even vegan meal, you'll see that their blood sugar rises over a period of time and it stays high. And it may take anywhere from an extra 2 to 4 hours to come down, or it may actually take a couple of days because their bodies are trying to utilize this fat that they ate along with these very refined carbohydrates. So, again, some things to be thinking about when you're consuming food. So, what is the fix? We really want to stick to the whole, minimally processed foods like fresh vegetables, beans, whole grains, legumes, lentils, fruits, all of those things. And you really want to read labels carefully to avoid added sugars and refined flours. And on a side note, sometimes it'll say plant based and it's actually not whole food plant based. There's still going to be sometimes dairy or eggs in there. So, how they would describe that as plant based, I have no idea, but I've absolutely seen it on certain labels. So, definitely read your labels. Now, if you're craving sweets, reach for some whole foods instead, or whole fruits instead of the processed treats. There's also other ways to make healthy, whole food, whole plant-based food desserts. And again, the Healing Kitchen is a great resource. Brittany Drudy is a fantastic resource if you want to learn more. Number three is you're not accounting for liquid calories, right? So plant-based lattes, juices, and some smoothies. I consume smoothies, but I'm going to tell you how my smoothie is healthy here in a minute. They might sound healthy, but they can actually definitely pack a calorie wallop, right? So that coconut milk smoothie, let's say, with almond butter and bananas, it's likely 400 calories or more, and it won't fill you up the same way a solid meal would. We're going to talk about how to consume a smoothie healthily. Again, just hang on just a sec. But let's talk about the science here. Liquid calories bypass many of the what we describe as satiety signals that solid foods would trigger, making it easier to overconsume them very quickly. Plus, again, juices often strip away the fiber that really will help slow digestion, leading to the blood sugar spikes and quick hunger. And the fix is choosing whole foods, whole fruits and veggies over juices to keep the fiber and feel full. And again, if you're going to use smoothies, it's really important to use you consider using water or lower calorie plant-based milks like unsweetened almond milk. I use soy just because I want to get my soy servings in, but you also want to keep the calorie dense ingredients like nut butters, or sometimes nuts and seeds. They, people add those in. If they're small amounts, that's fine, but just be mindful of those calories. So what I've done with my smoothies, and I've been doing morning smoothies for a very long time, is really, when I pack up my Vitamix, it is, I don't know, 2/3 to 3/4 of vegetables. Like this morning, I had 19 different fruits and veggies in my smoothie. And how did I do that? So the number one is I get two different types of prepackaged dark green leafy mix, the spring mix, and then I get the power green mix or something. It ends up being, I counted this morning, 13 different types of dark green leafy veggies. Oh my goodness, fantastic. Spinach, chard, kale, arugula, all sorts of lettuces, you name it, it was fantastic. That gets punched in there, literally punch. Then I I know it's going to sound crazy, but I like the taste, is broccoli slaw, and it has some carrots in there. And then I use a cabbage slaw. It has white and purple cabbage in there. Stuff that down in there. Typically, I'll also add in rice cauliflower. Yes, rice cauliflower. And then I will save the top for my frozen fruit. So I have frozen dark sweet cherries or whatever cherry mix I could find, frozen pineapple, and then I like frozen wild blueberries. They're smaller, they're definitely more nutritious, but the regular blueberries is fine too. Then I use the soy milk to be my liquid to make sure it's blending well. On occasion, I'll throw in a scoop of the Garden of Life raw meal replacement powder. It has all sorts of goodies in there. So we'll do that and blend that up. And then I split that with my husband. Now, the key here is when you look at your blood sugars, because I've worn the CGM multiple times, I've had patients who wear CGMs. I look at their foods, their blood sugars will go like this with that type of smoothie because there's so much vegetables. And I encourage them to drink it over half an hour to an hour. And what you'll find is that it'll be the equivalent of eating foods in that similar fashion, right? You're going to be eating over typically 30, 45 minutes, 60 minutes. So you're not going to see that huge spike in your blood sugar. Plus, I just don't think it'd allow for it. I haven't been able to chug down that type of smoothie because it is really dense with fiber. Wow. So anyway, that is how I approach my smoothies. The other thing you can do is drink water or herbal tea or black coffee to kind of minimize your liquid calories. So again, just keeping those drinks calorically um, neutral will be good. Number four is your hormones might be out of balance, right? So perimenopause and menopause can absolutely hijack your weight loss efforts. And I just did a video a minute ago around why you have perimenopausal and menopausal belly fat. Talks all about insulin resistance, but declining estrogen and progesterone levels during these stages can change where your body stores fat, often straight to the belly, and then stress and sleep issues if you've got the perfect storm for weight gain. So the science. Number one, estrogen decline leads to fat distribution toward the abdomen. Insulin resistance, common in midlife due to hormonal shifts and blood sugar instability, making fat burning harder. Number three is cortisol. So chronic stress spikes cortisol, which promotes belly fat, breaks down muscle. Thyroid dysfunction and underactive thyroid will slow your metabolism, making it tougher to lose the weight. And so what is the fix here? Low glycemic diet. So eat fiber-rich foods, plant-based foods to stabilize your blood sugar, improve your insulin sensitivity, stress management, using mindfulness, yoga, breathing exercises to lower the cortisol, prioritizing your sleep, aiming for 7 to 9 hours per night to balance hunger hormones like leptin and ghrelin. If your hormones still feel out of control, you definitely want to talk to your doctor, okay, for testing, and then they can appropriately tell you what you need to do. Number five and last is you're not prioritizing your meal timing. So when you eat can matter just as much as what you eat. So skipping meals or eating late at night really throws off your body's natural rhythms, right? So that can make it harder to lose weight. Your metabolism peaks earlier in the day. And so eating most of your calories late at night puts your body in fat storage mode. So what is the science here? So there's circadian rhythms, right? Your body's internal clock influences how efficiently you burn calories. So eating late at night impairs glucose tolerance, increasing fat storage. Then there's also, you could utilize intermittent fasting or time restricted eating. Basically, you're eating within a shorter window, think about 10 hours, and that will help your body use more energy more efficiently and burn fat during those fasting periods. So, what's the fix here? Eat most of your calories earlier in the day. So, eat like a king in the morning, eat breakfast like a king, eat lunch like a queen, and eat like a pauper at dinner, right? So when you eat earlier in the day, your metabolism is most active. And you definitely want to avoid eating 2 to 3 hours. I would say definitely probably closer to 3 hours before you go to bed to give your time for your body to digest. So again, you might want to try that time restricted eating like a 14-10, or a some people like to do a 8-16, meaning you eat your eating window is 8 to 10 hours, and the fasting window would be 14 to 16. That can actually help you one lose weight as well because you're already probably eating less calories because you're restricting your time of eating. That's typically what we'll find happen with this time restricted eating is actually it's the lower calories. So imagine you start making these small targeted tweaks to your plant-based diet and your weight loss will pick up again. You'll feel better. Your stubborn belly fat starts to kind of fall away or melt away. And again, it's not magic. It's really just science, and it works when you work with your body, not against it. So if you're in this perimenopause, menopause, postmenopause time frame, which is probably 90% of this audience, I would encourage you to check out my Master Menopause and Feel Fabulous webinar. Again, you're going to learn the top 3 mistakes women make on a plant-based diet, my 5-step blueprint to lose weight, how to balance your hormones, Master Menopause and Feel Fabulous. And then you also get my free perimenopause and menopause evaluation checklist just for signing up. It's a document that helps you organize your symptoms, know what questions to be asking your doctor, and it explains why it's important. Again, it just really helps you become prepared to this very important interaction with your healthcare provider to understand how to really master this complex situations going on in our bodies. So don't be afraid to have that conversation. So I encourage you to do that. Again, if you want to learn more about the Healing Kitchen or seeing myself as your doctor, if you live even outside the United States, I've seen patients also outside the United States, please check out drmarbus.com, click on the Healing Kitchen, and if you want to see a patient, you can scroll down to the bottom. Again, licensed in all 50 states and DC. So would love to see you as part of this community. Please click the subscribe button, and we will see you next time. As always, sending gratitude, joy, love, and healing your way. So everyone have a blessed rest of your day.